Right, 9:37. That's shocking, that news story, isn't it? Terrible.
It is really, yeah.
I'm just saying.
A lot of it about Al.
What were the women's
Scams.
complaining about being paying double for? She knows fine well it's a fraud. Get £750 off any used electric car or home charger now after 5 of 6 English sides won in the Champions League this week. All of them are top 12 in the table. So we're wondering this morning, is the Premier League just way too strong for the rest of Europe?
Here's a chance for Turkey inside the penalty area to finish off the victory. Manchester City 4, Borussia Dortmund 1.
Oh, this is turning into a glorious European night for Arsenal, because it's now Arsenal 4, Atletico Madrid 0.
Oh, Mickey van der Ven, what a run this is. 50 yards, 60 yards. What a goal!
Has been coming. Liverpool 1, Real Madrid 0.
It goes back to Newcastle, back to Barnes, under his left foot, stands on the cross, John Linton! Heads it in from close range. Dream start to the second half for the Toons. Newcastle 2, Athletic Club 0.
Right, I have to say, I'm a bit uncomfortable doing this next piece.
What's that?
I bet the English
Premier
side's
League?
too good for Europe. I'm
wouldn't say-
uncomfortable.
no, the league.
I'm distancing myself.
I wouldn't say certain clubs in Europe. I mean, Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Exactly. So what we're talking about
I
here.
think the league itself is a lot stronger than the other countries.
Yeah, I agree.
understand the
But it
league?
doesn't mean you say we're going to
No,
win.
not the
everything.
clubs. I mean, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich, and top Napoli, or some, they can get to the final, no problem. That Champions League.
So well, let me read it all then. It's been looking good for the English side so far, but we've seen all this before. There hasn't been a single English team reach the final since City won it back in 2023, and only 4 of the past 15 winners have come from these shores. But that didn't stop the Daily Mail's chief football reporter. I'm not going to go at Craig, but have a listen. Craig Hope making this claim in the show earlier this morning.
Premier League teams are bigger, better, fitter, faster, stronger. The Premier League is so strong now, and it's no surprise to see, as you know, right now, those 6 Premier League teams going through. I'd go one further, guys. You could put any Premier League team of the 20, including the promoted sides, into the Champions League, and I think they would go through as one of the top 24.
Nah, I'm not having that.
Well,
I know what Craig's saying here, and I like Craig, but I'm not having that.
well, Ajax are bottom of the league at the moment in the Champions League. Who else we got down the bottom? So would Burnley beat Ajax?
Not sure.
Yeah, we do. Well, it's, you know, you got Benfica second from bottom, Villarreal, Copenhagen. You got some teams down the bottom of the table who's going to get knocked out at the moment as we stand. But I can see where he's coming from. I just think the league, as I said before, if you're Barcelona, you're playing one of the bottom sides. You can probably rest a few players before a big Champions League game, which gives them a little bit fresher going into it. Well, I don't think you can do that in the Premier League. I really don't believe if you're playing Burnleys, or I'm not just saying Burnleys, whoever's down the bottom, Wolves, West Ham, you know, you've got to be right at it, every single player, or you get beat.
Let's get the thoughts of a man who's right across everything that's happening around the continent. A very good morning, European football expert Andy Brasso. Andy, good morning.
Morning, Andy.
Good morning, fellas. I'm glad you reframed that, Alan, because when you said you were uncomfortable doing this next section, I thought, what have I done? I haven't even said a word yet. Come on.
No, Andy, you know where I'm coming from here. You know,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. The Premier League is a great league. It's the best in the world, right? No doubt about it. But, you know, to say that we're faster, fitter, stronger, better than the rest of Europe, whoa. Let's get the knockout stages and let's see who can do it over 2 legs.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, actually, Alan. And I think if we go back to last season, you think Barcelona and especially Liverpool look better than anyone else in the league stage. It's funny that Liverpool won 7 out of their 8 league fixtures in the league stage last season. And that didn't even describe how good they were. They were unbelievable. And I think when we're talking about the difference between the Premier League and other leagues, really we need to be focusing on a game like Liverpool versus Real Madrid this week, because that's twice in 2 years that Real Madrid have gone to Anfield and been absolutely little boyed. You know, that they were second best, and the scores don't even describe how far behind Liverpool they were in those 2 games. And that is definitely an issue with Real Madrid. But I think when we look at the games this week, we can't really be making judgments on Arsenal winning in Prague, like Spurs knocking over a Copenhagen team who are 4th at the moment. I was at Newcastle Athletic Bilbao last night, and Athletic have got a ton of injuries, and they're in the Champions League for the first time in ages. So taking this week as representative, I don't think is right. But I do think the word that Craig used there is really important: stronger. Because we've been talking a lot about set pieces and all that sort of stuff this season in the Premier League. I feel that physically is something that other sides are really struggling to keep up with, the physical strength of Premier League teams. So it's as if the traditional strength of English or British football is combining with a higher technical quality to give Premier Leagues this sort of teams this sort of head start.
Yeah, when you talk about Tottenham, Chelsea battered Tottenham, and Chelsea draw an Azerbaijan.
Shaban.
Yeah,
as a Shaban. As a Shaban.
Yeah, and I think that's
Azerbaijan.
It's a big result, that isn't it? I mean, like, you know, Karabag are not celebrated by a lot of people, but you know, they've got experienced players. They've recruited well. They've had the same coach for 15 years, and I think you look at that game, and that is the beauty of the Champions League, really, because I bet you when that came out the hat or out the fixture computer, off the button, I don't know how you'd say it nowadays. The fact is, no one wanted Karabag away, because it's a game that you're expected to win at a canter, but it's a trip that like knocks you out for the whole week. I mean, geographically, it's not in Europe, is it?
No.
So it's something that's a real pinch, and you know, that's going to affect Chelsea at the weekend as well, I reckon.
Andy, what happened with Lookman on Wednesday night? I think he had a bit of a spat with the old manager, didn't he? Atalanta manager?
Ivan Juric, who last spotted at Southampton, of course, hated by both Southampton and Roma fans for what he did there last season. And he's had a slow-ish start at Atalanta. But yeah, Lookman was coming off and Juric grabbed him. Now, look, I think we all know that it's something that's probably not that big a deal, and they'll manage to put a lid on it. But every coach has got to be aware, and Juric is clearly in the wrong here, because every coach has got to be aware. There are 36 cameras in the stadium nowadays. Everyone knows that that's seeing that, and like minutes after it's happened, it's on the internet, it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's everywhere. So he's going to have to come out and apologise to Lookman, especially as Lookman has been in a place where he's been a little bit fragile. He expected to get a big move into this season, this interseason. It didn't happen, and so they've gradually been working him back into the team. He wasn't treated particularly well by Gianpiero Gasperini, who was Juric's predecessor at Atalanta. I feel sorry for Lookman, because he's been one of the best players in Europe over the last couple of years, reigning African Footballer of the Year, and you know, he's
scored
just
some
had
great goals, hasn't he?
He really has, Alan. And, you know, I think sometimes we look at him and we think of him as that player who missed that Panenka penalty for Fulham at West Ham. He's changed so much since then. And with the right support, I think he's a great signing for someone. But maybe this is another nail in the Atalanta coffin for him.
Andy, just a quick one. It was never going to be easy for Jose at Benfica, but Benfica in Portugal, you know, they're one of the giants. They're a big club.
Yeah.
But he struggled. Why has he struggled? Is it just he just doesn't have the players?
Well, they were a bit unlucky last night. They dominated Leverkusen, and then a defensive mistake meant Leverkusen won the game. But look, I think if you look at all the teams, we talk about the calendar and what a stress it is, even on Premier League teams or in PSG or Bayern or whatever. You look at Benfica, and they've got a decent set of players at the moment, but A, he's inherited someone else's set of players. And B, if you look at the amount of games that Benfica have played since the last 16 of the Club World Cup, and you compare them to any of the other big teams, they've played loads more than anyone else, and those players are absolutely blowing, which really makes them struggle in the last 20-25 minutes of games. That's not something he can really do something about, and I think they're gagging for that winter break.
And just a quick one, because I'm out of time again. We've got to be careful what we say here, but the Forest owner in trouble with the law or accused of certain things, is that making big headlines around Europe?
Yeah, it is. And of course, it's not the first time with Evangelos Marinakis. But look, we'll have to wait to see how it plays out. I think just him in a football context, there's plenty to talk about anyway. And obviously, Forest trying to get back on the horse tonight.
Yeah. Brilliant. Andy, thank you.
Cheers, Andy.
Andy Brassel there, our European football expert, bringing us right up to speed. Okay, coming up, we're going to hear that brilliant story from Loren on Ray Party Parlour, his Monday morning feeling. He walked in through the marble, up the marble halls into the dressing room.
No, this was the training ground. On a Monday morning. And I did play well on the Saturday.
9:46. Chelsea had drawn Azerbaijan.
Shaban?
Yeah.
As a Shaban.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Azerbaijan.